Hi guys, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for clicking on my video. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is that you're watching me from. You're very welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking. As always, I appreciate it. Let's go straight to the point. And as I said from the topic of the video, you should be able to see what we're going to be talking about today, which is Nigeria's inflation problem. I don't think there's anybody in Africa that does not know that Nigeria has an inflation problem. You know what? According to the Bureau of Statistics, Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's inflation as of 2024 stands at a whopping 33.3%. That is the extent to which the price of everything, especially food, which is the most important thing to Nigerians. So that is the extent to which the price of everything is jumping up, it's galloping. So let me give you an example. For those of you who don't really understand what inflation means, it means that there's too much money in the economy chasing fewer goods. Therefore, what 1,000 naira was able to do for you last year, 2023, now 1,000 naira cannot do it. Maybe it's 3 or 4,000 naira, something of that nature, that can be able to do what 1k was doing before. So how did we get to this point in the first place? And how did it become so severe in the food industry to the point where there are a lot of families that are barely struggling to eat? You know that as Nigerians, there was a point when we just took it for granted that there was always going to be food. In fact, there was a point when we considered some food to be rich man's food, some other food to be poor man's food. But we kind of believed that food was always going to be here because we didn't have this kind of inflation or insecurity that we were going through right now. So in this video, I want to tell you how I feel like you should cope. I want to give you the things that I am doing that is giving me a fighting chance to be able to even survive this economy. For a lot of Nigerian families, 60% of their income goes on food. That is to say, if your salary is 70,000 naira, minimum wage that government has not yet implemented, if your salary is 70,000 naira, you are bound to spend at least 50% of that 70k on food. So how much are we talking about when you are going to pay for, let's say, transportation? What about other things? Right now, government does not even subsidize anything. So how and how do we even get to this position in the first place? When it comes to food inflation, I think the problem didn't start now. It is now that the hens are coming home to roost. I mean, the consequences of the actions of the government before this one is even probably responsible. Because the first thing that Buhari's government did, the government before this one, is that a lot of people don't know that there is no subsidy on fertilizer. The government, before they started talking of removing subsidy on fuel, they removed subsidy on fertilizer. And because, you know, the people who were benefiting for this subsidy were largely peasant farmers in the villages, so they didn't even have the voice to come and say, no, you must not remove subsidy on fertilizer. They didn't even understand the consequences of the absence of that subsidy. So the fertilizer that used to be readily available pre-2000 and under the PDP regime of 2000 and I think it came to end 2015, right? So fertilizer that used to be readily available and cheap for farmers now became very expensive and not even readily available. So right now, fertilizer used to go for 3,000, 3,500 for urea, NPK. Now that same fertilizer goes for about 12,000 naira. That was even before the inflation setting. Do you understand? Inflation itself is not exactly a problem. Actually, there's a little amount of inflation that is healthy, and generally the consensus among economists and lawyers is 2%, 2.5% of inflation is okay, because it lets us know, it helps the economy to run on an equilibrium. But anything above that means that too much money is going to begin to chase fewer goods. How did we get here in the first place? It is not, to me, mismanagement by the government and all that is there, but the first thing that is our problem is insecurity. So if we want to talk about how we got here to this problem of inflation, especially food inflation, the first problem we have is insecurity. Insecurity that is largely affecting the north central regions and the northwestern regions of geopolitical zones of Nigeria, because these are the places that farm more than anywhere else in Nigeria. So we've been fighting with Boko Haram for the past 10 years, and in the northwest, it is they're Fulani herdsmen. Okay, now the people who have been victims of these insurgencies have basically been peasant farmers. Now farmers are afraid to go to their farms. They have to pay all sorts of levies before they are even allowed to go to the farms in the first place. And this has been happening for the past at least 10 years without any intervention whatsoever from the government. The farmers were basically left to their fate. If you Google, you just need to check Google to see insecurity in Nigeria and to find the number of farmers that were unalived on their farms for going to the farm to farm for something as simple as they want. Sometimes the insurgents would watch them plant their crops, get fertilizer at exorbitant rates. When it is time to be harvested, they will come and unalive them on their farms, take their farm products and that kind of thing. So for me, I think one of the first things that put us in this position is food insecurity. Is insecurity. First of all, is the insecurity. And if we want to sort the problem out, then we must begin to tackle it from that root of what? Insecurity, right? Then number two is even the infrastructural problem that we have in the country. First of all, we are not able to produce food because our economy is growing in a geometric progression. People are reproducing without any plans as to how these people are going to be fed, okay? And while we're doing that, then there is no intervention whatsoever from the government. The infrastructure that is supposed to be on ground for us to have a vibrant agricultural sector, we don't have it. There are no feeder roads to rural communities. These farmers that farm till today, if you ask me, I would say it's a sad commentary on Nigeria that in 2024, in the 21st century, the most something as simple as tractor or any other modern farming equipment is not available to farmers. Even if it is there, there's a lot of politics surrounding who can access the tractors, who can access agri extension services and all that. So the real farmers, you see, there's all sorts of bank of agriculture, bank of industry, bank of this, but the people who are on ground doing the work, somehow they don't have access to these facilities. They don't have access to agri extension services. Some of them don't even know that these things exist for them at all. So you see the ignorance of our farmers, their illiteracy, and the absence of infrastructure for them to take advantage of. Okay, so there are no feeder roads from villages. You need to go to Benue State, for example, to see how fruits waste. Why? Because the farmers don't have the wherewithal to transport these products from the villages and from the city to the so farmers don't have access to those kinds of things. So another thing that is going to we will do that will give us a fighting chance is that we must fix the infrastructural deficit that is worrying our country. First of all, we must empower these farmers before we even begin to say, because this thing didn't happen by magic. This inflation didn't just wake up and come. It's something that has been coming for a very long time. The third problem that we have in this country that we will need to sort out again is the exchange rate. As soon as the government allowed the naira to float on its own, that means that the forces of demand and supply should determine the value of the naira. Magana ya carry. The naira didn't stand a chance because we are not producing as much. Almost everything we have to go outside. That created more demand on the dollar, and the naira didn't stand a chance. At the moment, I think 1 naira goes to 1,950 or something of that nature to the dollar. So another problem that we have is the exchange rate. I think that this one, it is for the government to stop doing this thing that they are doing. Say you are allowing the naira to float. No, most countries will invest and do everything they possibly can to make sure that they maintain the value of their currency, first of all, okay? And so that means that anything that we have to bring into Nigeria means that that thing is going to come and cost more than it would have ordinarily cost had the naira had more value than it does right now, okay? So some of the things, maybe manufacturing implements, chemicals that we'll need to make fertilizer with or something of this nature, their prices have gone up to the point where right now in Nigeria, you can even say you want to buy mango, you want to buy granite, and they will tell you dollar. It's expensive. Almost everything is tied to the price of the dollar. Therefore, these things affect the kind of inflation that we're having. That's also a major contributing factor to the inflation that is bedeviling us in the country. One other problem that we have again is government policies. Okay, government policies of, because they are not managing the economy very well, so they will just wake up one night and print money. So there's a lot of money in circulation, but that money is chasing very few goods. It's not able to buy the plenty of the things that it could have bought before. So the government is not managing the economy well, and that one is solely a policy problem from the government of Nigeria. Probably because they are not the ones feeling it. It's poor people that are feeling it. Therefore, you know, that kind of thing. What can we do? What can we do? First of all, I think the first thing we need to do is to address the infrastructural problems that are bedeviling this country. And that means that we must first tackle insecurity. As long as we do not tackle insecurity, the farmer is going to place his life over the desire to go back to the farm. So you can't tell farmers, for example, you play politics around insecurity, ask farmers to go to the farm, then they will go to the farm and go and meet insurgents. They have no fighting chance. They will be unalive. We see all sorts of gory stories coming from the farms. That is scary. Before we even begin to dream that we're going to get out of this problem, we must first of all fix this insecurity problem in Nigeria. Then we also fix the infrastructural deficits that we have. If for now Nigerian borders are closed, if you ask me, one other thing that we need to do is to open borders so that manufacturing and processing implements can come into the country, and then these industries should be located in rural communities that are going to, for example, process mango juice, process juices, process tomatoes. You need to see the way perishables waste in Nigeria, because the small, we already have problem with production, then the small one that we produce goes to waste. Okay, so if for me, I think these are the two things that the government needs to do in order to fight, to even give us a fighting chance. Then of course we must defend the naira. I beg, let's just be defended. That's one of the things that I feel like the government should need to do. And then for you as an individual, you need to, and this is where I come in, this is what I have been doing that is helping me, giving me a fighting chance, helping me to at least stay afloat. There are a lot of people who can't even afford to fuel their cars anymore, so they've kept it. A lot of people, basically all their money goes for food and transportation. What I think that individuals need to do is, oh yeah, you need to save as much as you can, increase your skills. Okay, so you need to find the skills that are more in demand, and then you make yourself more marketable within that, so that you extend and get a side hustle. Okay, this is the way that I am surviving, and that's what I think Nigerians need to do. I can never overemphasize this. Plant. If you have a little garden behind your house, a little space behind your house, plant. I had to learn how to plant potatoes, and I will show you a video where I planted potatoes in my house. So I planted potatoes, I planted vegetables, anything at all that you can grow. That is going to at least reduce the pressure on your finances. So all the 100 naira, 200 naira that you're using to go and buy ugu, water leaf and co, that's going to help you. Nowadays, no, you're not too big to farm, you're not too big to do all those things, because man, Nigeria, I don't clear. If you have any more points, then this would be a good time for you to let me know in the comment section. As always, I'll be there waiting. I will appreciate all your comments, and please give this video a like. That would be good for the algorithm, and that would be good for me as well. If this is your first time of stopping by on my channel, hello, my name is Ajala, and I saved the introduction for the last because that's just the way it's gonna be in today's video. My name is Ajala. I'm the one who runs this channel. I'd appreciate it if you would also subscribe. Welcome to my channel, and I'll see you all in my next video. Remember that Ajala loves you, and Nigeria is your country. It's the only one you have. So have a good day. Bye.